Sterling's entire world slowed. That name, that name didn't belong to just anyone. That name belonged to the woman he loved 9 years ago. The woman who vanished from his life without warning. The woman he never stopped dreaming about, even after all the success, the money, the headlines. He crouched down slowly, his tailored coat folding beneath him. His voice, normally commanding in billion-dollar meetings, softened into something almost parental. "Hey, it's okay. You're safe now," he said. "What are your names?" "I'm Naya," the girl said, bravely keeping her chin up. "This is my brother Noah. We're twins." Twins. Sterling's eyes flicked from one to the other. They had warm brown skin, curls clinging to their foreheads, and the same deep-set, sea-glass green eyes that haunted his memory. His own eyes. He took the note, hands steady though his heartbeat raced like a war drum in his chest. "Okay," he nodded. "Let me call this number." And here's where I pause. Because if this were a movie, this is the moment where your heart knows something even before your mind can accept it. And mine did. He dialed, unsure whether he wanted the call to go through or not. 3 rings. 4. Then, a frantic voice, rushed and breathless. "Hello? Hello? Amara?" There was a pause on the other end. Silence, weighted and heavy. "Sterling?" she finally whispered. He swallowed hard. "I'm at the airport. I'm here with 2 kids, Nia and Noah. They say they're lost." A sharp gasp crackled through the phone. "Oh my God! Oh my God! I've been looking everywhere. I'm at Terminal B by the Delta Lounge. Please bring them to me." Sterling lowered the phone, crouching again. "We found her. Let's go." But as he stood, Noah squinted at him. "How'd you know our mom's name before we told you?" The question sliced deep. Sterling hesitated, only a beat, then forced a half smile. "It was written on the paper." Technically not a lie. He held their hands as they weaved through the terminal. Their tiny fingers curled around his like a lifeline. The past clawed at his mind. 9 years ago, he and Amara had been inseparable. Her brilliance as a systems analyst rivaled his own ambition. They were fire and gravity, constantly pulling at each other, sometimes combusting. But ambition got in the way. He wanted more. She needed stability. They ended, just like that. No dramatic goodbye. Just a quiet end that left him hollow. He never called, and now here he was, walking through the airport with 2 children who had her fire, and his eyes. They arrived at the Delta Lounge, and there she was, Amara. Her auburn scarf fluttered slightly as she ran toward them, her arms outstretched. Her eyes landed on the twins, and then finally on him. "Nia! Noah!" She fell to her knees, wrapping them tightly as tears streamed down her face. Sterling's breath caught in his throat. Even after all these years, Amara Bell looked like poetry in motion. Older, yes, but stronger, wiser, her pain visible but beautiful. "They wandered off when I was checking our flight," she said between sobs. "Thank you, Sterling. Thank you." "They're okay," he said, voice soft. "That's all that matters." But Noah wasn't done. The boy looked up at her, his small brow furrowed. "Mom, he knew your name." She froze. Her eyes darted to Sterling. He gave a small shake of his head, trying to signal, "Not here." Amara turned back to her son, brushing his cheek. "Sweetheart, Sterling and I knew each other a long time ago, before you were born." "Were you friends?" Nia asked, curious. She paused. "Yes, something like that." But Sterling saw it in her eyes, the flicker of truth, of a storm she'd kept hidden far too long. He stepped forward, lowered his voice. "Amara, are they not here?" she whispered, her voice nearly a plea. "Not in front of them?" He nodded. She took the twins by the hand. "We're staying at the Wyndham near Terminal A. Give me an hour. Meet me in the coffee shop downstairs." Sterling watched them walk away, and with each step something twisted in his gut. He wasn't sure if it was fear or hope. He headed for the coffee shop, the note still in his hand, its edges worn, but the ink now etched into his soul. Isn't it strange how the past always finds its way back to us? often at the most inconvenient, unguarded moments. That's what gets me about this story. You can build empires, but the things that define you, love, regret, family, they don't follow logic or schedules. They just show up. Usually in the form of two lost kids holding a note you've been avoiding for nearly a decade. The coffee shop in the Wyndham Hotel was mostly empty, just a quiet hum of travelers clutching overpriced lattes and overstuffed carry-ons. But to Sterling Vaughn, the polished floors, the artificial greenery, and the lukewarm espresso weren't the focus. All he could think about was the question burning a hole in his chest. Were they his? He sat at a corner booth, eyes glued to the entryway, heart thudding against his ribs like it was trying to escape. The coffee in front of him had long gone cold. The crumpled note with Amara's number was still there, a small scrap of paper that now weighed more than his fortune. And then she appeared, Amara Bell, no longer the carefree genius he remembered from their early days, but a woman hardened by the storms of life. Her beauty was different now, not the glowing kind of youth, but the quiet resilience of someone who had been through war and still walked upright. She slid into the seat across from him. "They're with my sister upstairs," she said, voice calm but tight. "I needed them to be somewhere safe, somewhere they wouldn't hear whatever this is." Sterling nodded. "Thanks for meeting me. You saved my kids, Sterling. I owed you that much." For a second, neither of them spoke. Then he leaned forward, barely able to breathe. "Amara," he said, voice cracking, "are they mine?" She closed her eyes. A slow exhale escaped her lips. When she opened them again, her eyes shimmered, not with anger, but with something worse. Grief. "Yes," she said. Just one word, soft as snowfall, and it hit like a freight train. Sterling sat back, as if the booth couldn't contain the impact. He ran both hands over his face, disbelief crashing over him like waves. "Why?" he began. "Why didn't you tell me?" Amara looked down, her fingers nervously toying with the corner of a napkin. "I tried." "You? What?" "I called you the day I found out. You were in Singapore for that Nexus merger. I remember because you told me you were too busy to talk. You said we'd catch up when you got back." Sterling blinked, memories rushing back. Long nights, endless meetings, international flights. That deal had made headlines, built his empire, but it had also buried her call. "I thought it wasn't urgent," he whispered. "I thought we had time." "I waited," Amara said, her voice hardening. "But you never called back. I didn't chase you. I was pregnant, scared, and honestly, I thought maybe you'd made your choice." Sterling felt like the floor had vanished beneath him. "You thought I wouldn't want them. I thought you wouldn't want us." God, that hit harder than he expected. Here's the part that kills me, because it's all too real. So many relationships don't break because of something big. They fall apart from silence, missed calls, assumptions. And now here they were, years later, surrounded by strangers sipping cappuccinos, trying to make sense of a lost lifetime. "I should have tried harder," he said, his voice raw. "But you didn't," she replied. That stung, because it was true. She wiped her eyes quickly, not wanting to show weakness. "I moved to Charlotte, got a job at a local firm, raised them the best I could. And before you ask, no, they don't know you're their father." Sterling blinked. "They, what? They know of you, just not who you are." "I told them their dad was someone I once loved, but that he couldn't stay." He swallowed hard. "They deserve to know." "They deserve more than just knowing," she snapped. "They deserve someone who shows up, not just with apologies and jet-fueled guilt, but with actions, consistency, patience." Sterling nodded, letting her words land without defense. "I want to be in their lives," he said, "as their father, whatever it takes." Amara studied him, eyes narrowed, like she was trying to see through him. "They're not a second chance at love, Sterling," she said. "They're not some way for you to fix your past. They're two brilliant, sensitive, funny little humans. And if you come into their lives, you do it on their terms." "I understand." "Do you?" He looked her in the eyes. "No gifts, no money, no showing off. Just time. Just love, right? She blinked, surprised. He smiled faintly. I may have been a self-absorbed 20-something, but I'm not that guy anymore. I don't care about boardrooms or press releases. I care about Nia, about Noah, and about you. Amara's mouth opened slightly at that last word. You care about me? She asked, skeptical. I never stopped. The silence that followed was thick with everything they'd never said. Old love never quite dies. It just goes dormant, buried beneath life and work and pain. But sometimes, just sometimes, a spark can reignite it when you least expect it. Amara glanced at the clock. They'll be wondering where I am. Can I see them? She hesitated. Tomorrow, she said. We're flying back to Charlotte tonight. Come visit us this weekend. You'll meet them properly. As a friend of mine, for now. Sterling nodded, holding her gaze. I'll be there. She stood, pulling on her coat. Her hand lingered on the table for a second. You broke my heart once, she said. But the stakes are higher now. This isn't just about us. He stood too, stepping closer. I won't mess this up. Not again. Amara's lips pressed into a thin line. Then softly, we'll see. She turned and walked away, her silhouette framed by the glass doors as she disappeared into the lobby light. Sterling sank back into the booth, the note still in front of him. But it didn't feel like a weight anymore. It felt like a door he was ready to open. What would you do if you found out you had children you never knew about? Would you run, deny, or show up with your entire heart knowing you might be rejected? That's what gets me about Sterling. Not that he made mistakes, but that he's willing to stay in the discomfort and earn his place. That's what real change looks like. Not big gestures, but showing up every single Saturday. Charlotte, North Carolina. 3 days later. Sterling Vaughn stood outside a modest brick duplex on Magnolia Lane, holding a paper bag with warm cinnamon rolls and his heart in his throat. The city was different from what he was used to. Quiet, humble. But in that stillness, he felt something he hadn't felt in years. Hope. This wasn't his world of flashing lights and corporate towers. This was Amara's world, Nia and Noah's world, and he wanted to be part of it. He raised a hand to knock, but the door opened before he could. Noah stood there, barefoot, clutching a toy spaceship. You came. Sterling smiled softly. I said I would, didn't I? The boy stepped aside hesitantly. Mom said you could visit, for a little while. I'll take it, Sterling said, stepping inside. The house smelled like vanilla and books. Children's drawings covered the fridge. A worn couch sat beside a coffee table stacked with comic books. It was homey, imperfect, real. And it took everything in Sterling not to break down at how much he had missed. Amara appeared from the kitchen, her curls tied back, an apron dusted with flour. You're early. I brought cinnamon rolls. She raised a brow. Bribery? Peace offering. She smiled barely. Set them on the table. Kids, breakfast. Nia rushed in, hair braided, eyes sharp. She stopped short when she saw him. Hi, she said. Not cold, not warm. Curious. Hey, Nia. You hungry? She nodded and sat beside her brother. Sterling sat across from them, every inch of him tense like a man sitting before royalty. They ate in silence for a few moments. Then Nia asked out of nowhere, Were you in love with our mom? Amara choked on her coffee. Sterling blinked, mouth slightly open. That's a bold question. I'm 8, she said, chewing. I don't have time for small talk. Amara coughed into her napkin, muttering, Lord, help me. Sterling looked at Nia and nodded. Yes, I was. Why'd you leave her then? Noah glanced up, now suddenly paying full attention. The room went still. Sterling set his fork down. I didn't leave because I didn't love her. I left because I didn't know how to stay. I thought building something big meant giving up everything else. I was wrong. Nia tilted her head. Are you going to leave again? No, he said, with a gravity that made even Amara freeze. I'm not leaving again. Not for anything. That afternoon, Amara took them to the park. She didn't say much, just gave him space. Sterling helped Noah launch his toy spaceship into the sky, pretending to be a NASA engineer. Nia asked him to guess her favorite color, which he got wrong 3 times, before she laughed and told him it was teal, not blue. Blue is basic. Then near the swings, Nia tugged at his sleeve. I drew something. She handed him a folded paper. He opened it slowly. It was a sketch of 4 figures, a woman, a man, and 2 kids. They stood under a tree. The man was holding hands with both children. Sterling blinked hard. Is this? It's us, she said. It was the first time she called him us. He looked at Amara. She was watching from a bench, eyes wide, lips trembling. She looked away quickly. Later that week, the first test came. The article resurfaced. Some gossip site ran with the headline, Sterling Vaughn's secret twins, Billionaire's scandal grows. Noah saw it on a friend's phone at school. He came home quiet. Silent, actually. He locked himself in his room. Amara called Sterling. He arrived in 20 minutes. I'll talk to him, he said. He went upstairs, sat outside the door, and said nothing for 10 full minutes. Then he spoke. Noah, it's okay to be mad. Nothing. Sterling leaned his head against the door. When I was your age, people made fun of me too. Said my mom wasn't enough, that I wouldn't be anything. I believed them for a long time. The door cracked open. Sterling looked into the boy's eyes. I don't want you to be ashamed of me, Noah said. Sterling stepped in. Then I'll make sure you never have to be. The next morning, a video surfaced, but it wasn't gossip. It was a clip from the school auditorium. Nia stood on stage during art day, holding up her drawing. This is my mom, she said. She's the smartest woman I know. Then with no warning, and this is my dad. I just met him, but he came back. And I think that means something. Sterling watched the video 100 times. Each time his heart cracked a little more. Not from pain, but from something else. Healing. 2 weeks later, Amara stood outside his rented place in Charlotte, hands on her hips. The twins have an idea. He raised a brow. Should I be scared? They want to spend the weekend with you. Alone. I'll be nearby, but this is their choice. Sterling smiled, not just with his lips, but with his soul. I'll make sure it's unforgettable. They played board games, made pancakes, built a cardboard spaceship in the living room. Nia taught him how to braid. Noah beat him at video games twice. They laughed, they belonged. And when Monday morning came, they didn't want to leave. Amara showed up and found Sterling asleep on the floor, with Noah on one side, Nia curled against his chest. All of them holding on to each other like they were afraid it might all disappear. Final reflection for viewers. This story isn't about wealth or DNA. It's about something far more universal. The quiet power of showing up. Sterling Vaughn lost nearly a decade with his children. And Amara, a black mother, carried the weight of 2 souls without help, without praise, and without apology. But when love returned, unsure, imperfect, bruised, she didn't shut the door. She cracked it open, and Sterling walked through. The final scene, 1 year later. It's a warm Sunday in Charlotte. There's a backyard barbecue. The grill sizzles. Music plays. Sterling is flipping burgers, badly. Noah rolls his eyes. That's not how Mom does it. Nia giggles. He's trying. Amara stands beside him, her hand slipping into his. They've come so far, and as laughter fills the air and the sun begins to set, Sterling realizes he didn't just find his kids at an airport. He found his home. He found them. And this time, he's never letting go.